was between Ronald Reagan and John Anderson. Carter refused to show up. But a month later, when the second debate rolled around, Anderson had fallen below 15%. He was down at 12%. Jimmy Carter agreed to debate, and the one debate took place in 1980. Now, you never had a problem with Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was willing to debate, as was Bill Clinton. Both of those presidents had no problem. We never had any difficulties with it. But following the 1984 debates is when the Commission on Presidential Debates was created by Paul Kirk, my co-chairman, the former chairman of the Democratic National Committee, as a result of really a scandal that had taken place with the 84 debates, with about 100 journalists being nixed by one of the candidates or another, which not being qualified in their view to participate in the debates, and the league went along with it. So 2 studies were created, one at the Kennedy School of Politics at Harvard, your alma mater, recently, the other at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, then at Georgetown University, and they both came to the same result. There should be created an independent entity that exists for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to make sure that there are general election debates every 4 years between presidential and vice presidential candidates. And we then took over the debates in '88, and we have run the 18 presidential and vice presidential debates since. And so the first part of this, people now expect people to debate, but we went for a long time without presidential debates. Now, I don't consider what we've been watching over the last 3 or 4 months as being debates. When you have 8 or 10 people up on the stage, you're already not, this is not a debate, it's a cattle show in many ways. Now, as we've gotten down, the last debate that was in Los Angeles between Hillary and Obama, there's 2 of them, you got to some substance. Now that you're down to 2 or 3, and I think the primary debates will look better. The other point I would make is the one thing I probably learned more than anything else of being there in the studio watching these things happen. And it may be very interesting in this campaign. The American people want to like their president. Likability of a candidate is very, very important, and how that conveys through television. They loved Ronald Reagan. They loved Bill Clinton. They actually, compared to Al Gore and John Kerry, they loved George W. Bush. They came through as being personable human beings. And it's very, very, very important that the American people have a sense of likability. And what I'm talking about here is a whole question as to the likability of Mrs. Clinton. Clearly, Obama is one of the most likable candidates I've ever seen come down the pike. But that'll be a question in this campaign, and the Clinton people know it. They're well on top of it. They're going to work on what they can do to soften things. But likability and the desire and need to have debates every 4 years, at a time when the American people in October, just before the election, can look at these candidates, 2 or 3, and make a judgment upon their qualifications.
Thank you, Frank. Anjeanette, your thoughts on Frank's comments?
Sure.
I have a couple thoughts. First of all, I would like to thank you very much for having me on the panel. It's an honor to return to my university, my journalism school, which is a very important time in my life, and was a great experience. There's a lot of debate about debates and how useful they are to voters. And I think that Frank brings up an important point about the likability. The criticism of debates is that the candidates put on a show, that there's not a lot of substance in their answers, that they don't actually get to important policy debate discussions. That's all sound bites and rehearse. But when you do get into the general election debates, it is a chance for voters to get a sense of who these people are. Can they relate to them? Do they relate to the audience? Are they likable? How do they interact with each other? Are kind of the clues that I think that voters are looking for when they watch debates. Bill Clinton was absolutely adept at it. He made himself pretty famous by actually went in the town hall format.